Live from the WMTV studios, your news authority. NBC 15 News at 4 starts now.
Now at 4, today's the day you can make your voice heard at the polls. Plus more details on a standoff that lasted hours last night in Janesville and the suspects that are still at large.
The road to the White House runs through New York City. I'm Jacqueline Policastro at the site of Hillary Clinton's election night event.
And I'm Ted Fiorliso at Trump Tower. A look back at how the candidates got here and the bumps along the way.
I'm Meredith Barrick, and today you decide. NBC 15 News will have local, state, and national election coverage throughout the night on the air and on the web. We start with voting in the Madison area. NBC 15's Alice Kang is in downtown Madison. Alice, how's it going out there?
Well, Meredith, happy Election Day. Polls have been open since 7 this morning, and election officials here at the Madison Municipal Building says they've been seeing a steady number of people. And if you haven't voted just yet, they say this is the perfect time to get out just before people start getting off of work. Now, while Wisconsin voters broke the record by early voting this year, election judges say they're still expecting a high turnout at the polls tonight. We just checked in with Scott McDonald, the Dane County clerk. He says they've seen about 160,000 voters so far. And Lisa Tollefson, the Rock County clerk, says she doesn't have exact numbers just yet, but there's been an extremely heavy turnout since the polling sites have opened. Now, the highest number of voters to participate in a presidential election was more than 3 million voters back in 2012. Election judges think this election may surpass that number. Now remember, if you haven't voted just yet, there's still some time to get out there. Just head to our website, NBC15.com, to find your specific polling place. Reporting live in downtown Madison, I'm Alice King, NBC 15 News.
Alice, thanks. The two presidential frontrunners cast their ballots this morning in New York. Donald Trump voted in Manhattan late this morning, arriving with his wife. The Trump family will watch results tonight from a hotel. Hillary Clinton and her husband voted in Chappaqua, New York this morning. They have a watch event tonight in New York as well. They've been on a year-and-a-half journey to the voting booth. We take a look at how Trump and Clinton got to this point. Team coverage begins with our Washington bureau chief, Jacqueline Policastro.
There's literally a glass ceiling at Hillary Clinton's election night event. Clinton is hoping to make history, breaking that glass ceiling to become the first woman to serve as president of the United States.
I hope you'll join me on this journey.
Hillary Clinton's second run for the White House began in April 2015. She took on 4 challengers, the toughest Bernie Sanders. His political revolution led to primary and caucus wins in 22 states. The fight went all the way to the convention. The Democratic National Committee chair resigned after emails proved staffers favored Clinton over Sanders. Clinton became the first woman to win the nomination of a major political party, choosing Tim Kaine as her running mate. Unflattering leaked emails showed the inner workings of her campaign, something Republican nominee Donald Trump pressed her on. And there's this.
I made a mistake using a private email.
That's for sure.
And if I had to do it over again, I would obviously do it differently.
Clinton remains under fire for handling classified information on a private email server when she was Secretary of State. Just over a week ago, the FBI reopened its investigation into Clinton's emails, but the director isn't recommending any charges. Covering the Clinton campaign, I'm Jacqueline Policastro. Now let's go to Ted Fiorliso with the Trump campaign.
Jacqueline, Trump Tower isn't just an iconic office building, it's Donald Trump's home. So it was fitting that after months of speculation, Trump announced his candidacy here back in June 2015.
They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists.
It was just a few seconds in Donald Trump's campaign launch speech, but those words stuck with him the rest of the contest. Trump faced 16 GOP challengers who said he wasn't a true conservative. Ted Cruz was his toughest competitor. But Trump pulled off enough delegates to secure the party's nomination in Cleveland, choosing Mike Pence as his running mate. Clinton pressured Trump to release his tax returns and questioned his policies, like building a wall on the Mexican border and targeting Muslims. Last month, an 11-year-old video was leaked showing Trump making lewd comments about women.
I'm not proud of it. I apologize to my family. I apologize to the American people.
His poll numbers fell, and he lost support from many Republican politicians.
Trump pushed back, claiming the system is rigged against him and saying he won't commit to the outcome of the election unless he wins. Reporting from Trump Tower in New York, I'm Ted Fioraliso.
In less than 1 hour, NBC 15 News at 5 will have the latest from New York to see how Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump are spending their election day. And we'll have a political analyst in studio to discuss what to look for tonight. And once the polls close at 8, we'll have election results at the bottom of your screen and on NBC15.com.
Well, after some earlier cloud cover, even a few sprinkles this morning, it's been a beautiful afternoon. Temperatures warming up nicely with all of that sunshine out there. The only clouds to worry about right now are as you get closer to the lakeshore from Sheboygan all the way down towards the Milwaukee area. And I'm really not expecting a whole lot of problems as we head through the evening hours. Current temperatures are on the mild side. We've warmed up nicely into the 50s, even close to 60 degrees in many locations, and that's where we should be here as we continue into the evening hours. Current reading 55 in Madison, 57 in Janesville. We do have some winds that are a little bit brisk out of the north and west between about 10 and 15 miles an hour. If you are still heading to the polls this evening, look for those temperatures to fall down into the 40s, it looks like, by about 8 o'clock tonight. Meredith?
Thanks. We'll see you soon. In developing news, police say suspects are still at large after a shooting and standoff last night in Janesville. It all started around 1:30 yesterday afternoon when police responded to shots fired, where witnesses reported seeing 4 individuals flee in 2 vehicles. One man was shot. Shortly after, police responded to the 400 block of Johnson Street, where a witness saw 2 people jump out of a moving car and run into this home. After an hours-long standoff, a 16-year-old juvenile surrendered himself to police.
We probably had 40 to 50 officers assigned to this matter last night, and that's not by accident. That's by design. Because we want to get on these cases immediately. We know we can solve them quickly if we put our resources on it.
Police took one of the suspects into custody shortly after the shooting, 20-year-old Nando Ennis. The victim in the shooting drove himself to the hospital. He is expected to be okay. 2 suspects are still at large. Police say it was a drug deal gone bad involving hundreds of dollars worth of marijuana. In our Crime Tracker 15 report, a man has been arrested for looking into the window of an apartment from a tree. Madison police say they found 54-year-old John Kuznetsov in a tree last night with his pants undone looking in a window. A woman inside the apartment was unaware what was happening. Madison police are searching for a man who shot a gun in the Kennedy Heights neighborhood last night. They found 1 bullet casing where witnesses say it happened. 3 men were arguing in a parking lot just before the gunshot. Still ahead at 4, a new Gmail update can give you the power to actually undo a sent email.
You're watching NBC 15 News at 4 with Meredith Barrick and meteorologist Brian Dukes.
Listen back to Meredith.
Who is Tyra tossing?
No, who's tossing to? Is it Meredith?
Meredith.
Okay, we're still good then. Meredith, Senator Johnson's campaign party kicks off at 7 with doors opening at 6 here at the Oshkosh Convention Center. Right now it's just a lot of media
Welcome back to NBC 15 News at 4. Here is a live look at the state capitol. We are less than 4 hours away from the polls closing. Some of the races we are covering tonight: the U.S. Senate race, the U.S. House races, and state Senate and Assembly races. All results will be on NBC15.com. The presidential race isn't the only thing Wisconsinites are keeping an eye on. House Speaker Paul Ryan's congressional seat is also on the ballot in southeastern Wisconsin. NBC 15's Morgan Wolf is in Janesville right now at House Speaker Ryan's watch party. Morgan, what makes this election so unique for Speaker Ryan?
Yeah, Meredith, Paul Ryan is seeking his 10th term in Congress. Of course, this is his first re-election as Speaker of the House. He faces Democratic opponent Ryan Solon, a 39-year-old man from Mount Pleasant and a former Army officer. Now, Paul Ryan is favored to win this election, but Solon's campaign says that they're hopeful and looking to cause a political upset 2016. Coming up at 5, you'll hear more about these candidates and how they have spent their days. But for now, back to you, Meredith.
Morgan, thanks. One of the most watched races in the state is for the seat in the U.S. Senate, where the balance of power could change. Democrat Russ Feingold is trying to regain his Senate seat from incumbent Republican Senator Ron Johnson. NBC 15's Syra Anwar is at Senator Johnson's camp in Oshkosh. Syra, how are things looking up north?
Meredith, Senator Johnson's campaign party kicks off at 7 with doors opening at 6 here at the Oshkosh Convention Center. Right now, it's just a lot of media here setting up for what's going to be a very eventful night in this intense race for the Senate seat. Now, in 2010, Ron Johnson beat then Senator Russ Feingold by 5 points. So I know a lot of tonight's attendees will be hoping for a repeat of that, transforming this into a victory party. But with the latest Marquette poll showing Johnson down by 1 point to Russ Feingold, we'll just have to wait and see. Of course, we have a long night ahead of us, but we'll keep you updated the whole night here in Oshkosh. Reporting live, I'm Syra Anwar, NBC 15 News. Back to you, Meredith.
Syra, thanks. Coming up next on NBC 15 News at 4, a local organization that takes sweaters and turns them into mittens. We'll have more on that next.
And yet another above normal day, but we could possibly see our first freeze in the coming days. I'll have your latest Weather Authority forecast. So that's all coming up next.
Remits turns old sweaters into food pantry donations. The local organization has generated $175,000 in donations to help end hunger in our community. Joining me now is Janet Tupy and Kathy Rothering. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
So what exactly is Remits? How did it get started?
Well, in 2008, I read a newspaper article about a pastor who gave $100 to each of his congregants. They were raising money for something, I don't even remember what. And he said, here's $100, take it and cause the money to grow, and then use that money for whatever they were raising money for. So some people bought window washing supplies and washed windows. Other people bought jam making supplies and made wild berry jam. You get the idea. And it planted a seed in my mind. I thought, if I took $100, how much could that grow for a good organization? And then about 6 months later, I was in a gift shop up north and saw mittens similar to these that were obviously made out of sweaters. And I thought, I could do that. You know, these look pretty easy. I hadn't sewn since high school, but I still thought I could do it. And I gathered a few friends, and we started scrounging for old sweaters. Our sweater supply actually are ones that are on their way to landfills or third world countries. They're rejects from St. Vincent de Paul. And we made them into mittens, which we don't actually sell. They're free for a donation of $30 or more directly to a food pantry for the plain mittens, and $40 or more for the ones that are Badger.
Fantastic. So you ladies just take old sweaters that maybe have a hole in them or some type of flaw and simply make mittens. Can you tell me a little bit more about that, Kathy?
Well, any one pair of mittens could be made out of 4 different sweaters.
Oh, cool.
So half the fun here is just mixing and matching. So this one came from at least 4, maybe 3 different sweaters. We have thousands of buttons that we have to sort of embellish them a bit. We line them with felt, so they're extremely warm. Your hands will never get cold if you're wearing them.
Right, and virtually everything's donated. The sweaters come from, they're the St. Vincent de Paul rejects that we were talking about. The buttons come from grandmother's button stashes that people have around. The thread is donated. The only thing that we buy are the appliques for the Bucky Badger ones, and some of our fleece.
Wonderful. Now, where can people get their, no pun intended, hands on these?
Actually, there's probably about 18 or 19 places in the Madison area. Almost all of the Breeks Coffee Shop, they have been a wonderful supporter of us for many years. The St. Vincent de Paul retail stores.
The Wolf Kubli in Middleton and the Ace Hardware at Hilldale have them. Clausen's.
Frugal Muse, I think Coffee Gallery, a couple of the UPS on the north and west side, north and east side.
And all this money goes towards places like Mom and the River Food Pantry, correct?
And St. Vinny's.
We support 3 food pantries, Mom on the west side, River on the east, and St. Vincent de Paul in the central. And you write your check directly to those organizations.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, ladies. This is wonderful, something wonderful you're doing. And so if anyone needs mittens for this winter, even though it's not cold out right now, it will be, I'm sure, very soon. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, Dukes, when are we going to see that cold weather? Soon?
This is your Weather Authority forecast.
Well, Meredith, we are still searching for that first freezing temperature. We'll get close to it tonight. I do think some places drop down to that freezing mark, but not, once again, looking to be a widespread 32-degree reading. Right now, it's nice outside, 55 degrees in Madison. Winds are out of the north and northwest at 9. Other readings include 53 in Beaver Dam, also 53 in Watertown. Pretty universal temperatures through the Great Lakes and the Midwest, from the lower 50s to the north into the lower 60s as you work down to the south. Nothing but sunshine out there right now. Earlier, a cloud cover and sprinkle activity, all working off to the east. So we are expecting clear skies as we head through the evening hours. Look for overnight lows to be down into the lower and middle 30s by early tomorrow morning. So I do think there will be some patchy frost. You'll have to worry about that early on your Wednesday. After that, though, high pressure's in control and not a whole lot to worry about for the middle of the week, for the end of the week, and really heading into the weekend. Almost an identical forecast to what we had for much of last week. Overnight tonight, though, 33 degrees, mainly clear, some patchy frost around the area. That melts quickly up to 57 tomorrow with mostly sunny skies on the nice side. 61 Thursday. A little cooler come Friday and Saturday, but still abundant sunshine. Our next chance of rain, not until next Tuesday. That's a look at your NBC 15 Weather Authority forecast. We'll be right back.
And finally, more on this tight Senate race for the Senate seat. NBC 15's Hannah Flood is at Russ Feingold's event in Middleton. Hannah, how's it going out there?
Meredith, the doors to Russ Feingold's election night event here in Middleton opened just a few minutes ago. Supporters coming out here tonight, of course, will be hoping that the former senator can win back the Senate seat he lost to Johnson back in 2010. That Marquette poll released last week shows that Feingold does have a small 1-point lead over Johnson, but for many Democrats, that lead just isn't enough. And that's why a lot of big name national Democratic surrogates have been visiting Wisconsin to campaign for Feingold. If Feingold and at least 4 other Democratic senators can win Senate seats into the U.S. Senate tonight, they will take over a majority in the U.S. Senate, which could change the landscape of politics in Washington, D.C., regardless of who wins the presidential election tonight. The event here in Middleton is scheduled to start at about 8:01, just after polls close. And of course, we will keep you updated throughout the evening and as the results of this race start to roll in. In Middleton, Hannah Flood, NBC 15 News.
Thanks, Hannah. Stay with us. We'll have a final check at your weather next.
No problems in the weather tonight if you're voting, and it looks like a beautiful week continues. Next chance of rain next Tuesday, Meredith.
All right. Coming up on NBC 15 News at 5, we will be in New York to see how Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump are spending their election day. And we'll have a political analyst in studio to discuss what to look for tonight. And once the polls close at 8, we'll have election results at the bottom of your screen and on NBC15.com. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.